data challenges. The first thing is defining the term big data. What we see is big data, it's not about size, it's not petabytes and zettabytes of data, it's more thinking big about data. And so the big data challenges we see are more often than not companies trying to deal with their internal integration across the different data silos. It might be getting a single view of one customer, all the different products. It may be integrating sales and finance systems. So the frustration comes from not moving fast enough, a frustration that the tools aren't the right tools, and the delays in getting projects completed. And that's out there in the market all the time. Organizations are frustrated with the time it's taking to address new data challenges or opportunities. And this comes from, in many cases, using the wrong tools. Relational has been with us for a long time. It's been the right tool for managing the kinds of data over the last 30 years. But when you move into this world of big data, there's the velocity, the variety, and the volume of data is expanding incredibly. And it's time for a new tool, and specifically technology around No SQL or No SQL allows different types of data to be dealt with very quickly. The differences with relational, number one, is you don't need to know the shape of the data before you start building your database. So in relational, you need to build a schema. It starts with data planning, data modeling, building rows and tables of the expected formats of the data. If anything changes in the future, this table has to be modified, updated, tested again with all the interfaces back to the systems. With NoSQL, there's the ability to load data in whatever form it is, whether it's a PDF, a doc, a document, or a single financial trade. The database will ingest this data and make it searchable instantly for any users. If different shape data turns up, there's no need to change the database. And we're used to this technology in Google. When we search for an item, it will come back with, whether it's a news clipping, a document, or a video. You know, we're used to the fact we search and we find all sorts of different varieties of document. So NoSQL allows a quicker response to this, and whether you're a big bank such as JP Morgan or UBS or Deutsche Bank, customers who are all trying to deal with regulatory issues and responding a lot faster, and knowing that there will be regulatory issues in the future that they've not even considered or conceived yet. And this mantra that says business agility requires data agility. So if we can build a foundation stone that is agile, managing our data and future data that we've not yet conceived of, then we've got a greater chance of responding to the business challenges as they develop in the future. Yeah, so the huge data challenge was something called Healthcare.gov in the USA, often known as Obamacare, and a result of the Affordable Care Act. And the vision was to make it a central government or federal responsibility for every citizen in USA to have insurance provision for healthcare. And so the starting point was there's 50 states, and not all of those guys, all those states wanted to participate. And so there's around 37 involved, and trying to come up with one single data format, one schema that would encompass all 37 states is an impossible task. It's not going to happen. And so this project was, on one level, probably one of the most complex IT integration projects anywhere in the world the last few years, and probably one of the most political projects ever, in the world. And the challenge was, number one, is integrating all the states that wanted to take part in their relational database and getting a single view, deduplicating, there were mistakes, there's also fraud, so identifying those things. And then beginning to expose that data to the existing systems in the US. So firstly, immigration, and secondly, tax. And the second one is really important because if you're of a low income, the tax system would identify that you were due some kind of subsidy. So the final step of the integration was to allow insurance companies to market their products to these citizens. So as a user, what I see is I log on, I'm identified, it's checking that I'm a legal citizen, it's checking my income and tax statements, and finally it's presenting me with the relevant options with subsidies. So this integration was difficult in terms of structured data, but so many different sources of structured data. And then when you get to the insurance policy offerings, that's unstructured data. So a combination of many different data types. And as soon as you think you're finished, the world keeps changing. So, having something cast in stone is not the end result. First thing I'd say is we had a panel in London recently with 3 customers, the Royal Society of Chemistry, the Institute of Engineering and Technology, and CABI, which was formerly the Commonwealth Agricultural Bureau. Not organisations you immediately think of as big data. And they were asked the same question, what are the lessons to successful big data projects? And the first thing they said was, it's never a bad time to think about business justification. That's never going to go out of fashion. What are we thinking of building, and how quickly will it pay back in whatever terms and metrics we're talking about? And those 3 organisations are not for profit, focused on glibly making the world a better place, actually. But still, they go through business justification. The second thing that they said is getting board or senior management support for the project is absolutely crucial, so that they know where you're going and know what you're trying to achieve. I think the third is select the right tool. Yeah, and the right tool might not be the same tool you've been using to address data in the last 30 years to deal with the next 5, 10, 15 or 30 years. So consider new technologies. No SQL is no longer leading edge. It's pretty mainstream technology with big and small companies using it. Finally, with the projects at MarkLogic, we recommend an agile development methodology. You don't always know what you're going to find. You don't always know where you're going to end up when you set off on a big data project. And so agile development enables you to build something pretty quickly and then assess what you need to build next to achieve the business goals. And the business goals can evolve over time. The market is changing, the available data is changing, and the view of what's possible is also evolving. And so the last point I'd say is agile development is also a very useful tool here.